it was so hard watching that wedding with my family. That was just the most awkward moment because I obviously didn't know what George had said either.
Yeah, everything's pre-recorded, isn't it? So it's not even like you can bring it up at a commitment ceremony.
No.
It's too late.
It's too late. It's been, it's done, it's gone. And I mean, the honeymoon as well, that did not do me any favours about the OnlyFans comment.
Yeah, I saw that. Welcome back to another episode of Girls Know Nothing. You may recognise today's guest who recently graced our TV screens as they appeared on the newest and current series of Married at First Sight UK. Peggy Rose and her husband have had a very rocky relationship, but she has displayed some really strong characteristics. Outside of the show, Peggy is not only beautiful but intelligent, as she is a technology risk partner, and we're excited for her to join us in the studio. So welcome to the studio, Peggy. Oh my God, there are so many things that I wanted to talk to you about because there's a lot to get through, and I know that there will be people that want to know all the Mafs gossip, so we will get there eventually. Okay. But
no problem,
you know, I've said to you that I'm so far behind because there's so much on TV right now that I can't keep up. But I love that like you were very strong in what you believed in and like wouldn't be afraid to say what you think or believe in. Sometimes it can burn you. Mm-hmm. I would know that firsthand. But like, I want to get to all the other stuff before you got to Married at First Sight.
Okay.
So
all the good stuff.
All of the other stuff. It's kind of a little bit like a therapy couch, I feel, like the studio.
Yeah, that's nice. I like this.
It gives off that warm vibe, doesn't it? Yeah. I feel
like that. I'm usually the therapist for my friends, so it's nice to have somebody to talk to and vent to. Usually I'm just like, no, strong-minded. But so now you're my girl.
That's what I'm here for, apparently. No, it's fine. I like it. But yeah, like, I mean, from what like I'd read about you and stuff, it was pretty rough in the early days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know where to begin, but I think you'd spoken about how you'd suffered with eating disorders or like when you were younger. And how peer pressure and societal standards have played a massive part in like your thinking and your relationship with food.
Yeah, my relationship with food, even to this day, isn't very good. I think that's like in our honeymoon in Thailand, they took us to a Thai market and it was a food market.
Yeah.
They'd put me at my weakest to try and test me. And that was a difficult challenge for me. But in terms of like eating disorders, it was my sister that first had anorexia. So she wasn't bulimic, she was anorexic. And that was that was when I was at university. And it came to the point where it was impacting the whole family, because I'm not sure if you know somebody with anorexia, it doesn't just impact the person, but it impacts everybody in their surroundings. And my mum was devastated. You know, it was killing my dad, my brother, everybody that lived in our household was suffering. And with me being away at the University of Sheffield, I felt guilty that I wasn't there for my family, because I feel like when you do have an eating disorder, and I didn't realise that I would then have one later on in life, you can't help yourself until you admit it.
Yeah.
Nobody can help you. So I was trying to be there for my mum. So I actually picked all of my modules at university on a Monday and Tuesday so that I could drive home and spend the rest of the week with my family.
That must have been really tough for you, like at that young age as well.
It was awful. Seeing my sister, and I was going through university, studying for a degree, and my sister was, she's my height, 5'10", and she got down to 5 stone 4.
Really scary.
Yeah, and to see her, and she's so beautiful. She's the most beautiful person I know inside and out, and she's got so much love to give. But I feel like where she didn't love herself, it was making her somebody she wasn't, and it was like. It was like we were losing her as a person. And I feel like I lost a part of my sister when she had that illness. And I thought, it's really weird because I said to myself, I would never do that to my family. I would never, why can't she just go to TGI's and have a burger?
Yeah.
I wish I could swap my life with hers so that I could eat everything in the world, because I was such a foodie.
Yeah.
I used to have a large Domino's pizza to myself, chicken strippers, like everything, garlic bread, potato wedges. I used to have the lot. And I used to have the whole, with my boyfriend at the time of 8 years, used to have a slice. I used to be like, oh my God, he's stolen a slice of my pizza. I was such a foodie. And I always remember saying, I wish I could stop lives with her and just, I'd eat everything. But then with my work, and it was only 2 years ago, I was working so hard with lockdown, and I used to think, right, I'm not going to the gym now. I need to stop eating.
Okay.
And I was at home, and it wasn't until the point where I lost about 3 stone in about 6-7 weeks.
Wow, that's ridiculous. That's like really
It was bad.
fast.
It was bad. I used to go to the gym 3 times a day when I was at work. And obviously when lockdown hit, I was like, right, I'm not going to the gym 3 times a day. That's about 1,000 calories. I need to stop eating. So I used to literally, I would have ham, eggs, and Greek yogurt and chicken.
And that's
And that would be my diet. It would be no carbs. There was no Mafs, but there was still no carbs. There was literally, that was all I would eat is protein. And it wasn't until my brother saw me I was walking my dog and my brother seen me and he was like, look, you need help. You don't look good. And that is why I said to my boss at the time, I need a demotion. And that was really hard for me because I've always worked so hard to be where I was in my career, to actually say I want to be demoted because it's affecting my health. You know, to this point, it's really like, I haven't told many people this, but I haven't had a period in 4 years because of stress.
Yeah.
And the only thing to help me get my periods back, sorry to say that in front of you guys, sorry, is to be less stressed.
Yeah.
And obviously my eating at the time wasn't helping my hormones, my body, and yeah, my periods completely stopped. So whether or not I can have children, I don't know yet.
I think it's one of those things that like sometimes when you're on the outside and you're not in the other person's brain, you're like, why won't you just do this? But it's because there's something going on, like you've said with work for you, there's something going on in the other person's life where food is now the only thing they're able to control.
Yeah.
And that's all they're looking for, like to control an element of their life.
That was it. I used to feel guilty when I had certain foods. Like if I don't even mean a slice of toast, I mean a bite of toast. I used to feel guilty. I used to lick the flavouring off Pringles and then throw the crisp in the bin just so I could get the satisfaction of eating. And I haven't told anybody that. And if my mum sees this, she'll probably get upset. But like, it does take over your life. It does. And being at home with COVID, you know, we was in lockdown. I live at home with my mum and dad. They're vulnerable. My dad's got cancer. There was no way in hell I was going outside those doors. So for a good 9 months, I did not go out. It was just home deliveries. And it was like me just then fending for my mum and dad, whereas I've always been looked after by them. The kind of roles reversed. And the only thing I could control was my eating. And it was just damaging, mentally damaging and physically damaging. And I'm still living with the effect now of not, you know, having my monthly cycle.
I think it's really tough when you witness like people that have always been very strong characters in your life like need to depend on you, and like you said, food became the thing that you were able to control. And with lockdown, I've seen many a story about people going through a similar experience to you because they've spent an excessive amount of time on social media because you had nothing else to do, especially for like someone like yourself who wasn't able to go out because you had vulnerable family members. Did you think social media had a part to play in?
Oh, 100%. All of my friends were out. Like, yeah, some of them live at home with their mum and dad still, some of them don't, but their mum and dads weren't of an age or had health issues like mine. So I was only one out of my friendship group not going out. So I had, you know, the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
You know, and I did think, oh my God, my life is going to stop at 30. You know, I didn't have my 30th birthday. I was in lockdown. And I thought, this is little did I know, my 20s would be the last of how I imagine life to be, going out, socialising. I'm never going to meet anybody in lockdown. You know, the postman's not coming to my door. You know, I'm not going to have a family. And at that point, I hadn't had a period for 2 years. And I didn't want to go to the hospitals to get checked because of the risk of bringing something back home to my mum and dad. And it was me on social media looking at my friends going out, having a good time. You know, they started to go on holidays as well. And I was like, no way am I going on a flight. And it was seeing everybody, you know, with the filters on and things like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I apply a filter.
Yeah.
And it comes to a point where I don't want a photo now without a filter on. but there's no filter on my mouth. You know, that's one thing I don't put a filter on is my mouth. And that has got me into trouble in the past. But it really has.
Haven't we all been there?
Even when I was like 11.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just, if I see somebody getting bullied, I cannot stand bullies. Bullies is the worst thing for me.
It's because you had your own experience with it, right? Like, I've seen was it you that were expelled or people were expelled?
I was expelled.
You were expelled for being physically attacked at school.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know. It was year 9. I was at a comprehensive school, a girls' school, and it was called Buller's Wood, and it was called Bullywood because there was a lot of bullies there, apparently. But I didn't ever get bullied. I was friends with everybody. Like I can actually gel with anybody. I can I think with my job as well, I've had to judge the room. Yeah. If I'm in a boardroom, there's not things I'll be saying on a night out to my friends in Essex.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Not sure how they would take it if you did.
No, I'd be sent straight out the door and home. And I was in year 9 and my best friend at the time, she'd gone on holiday, left her keys with the kind of mean girls of the school. You know, I never had a problem with them. They never had a problem with me. She left her keys there. She went on holiday and they trashed her house. And when she came back from holiday, they started bullying her. They took her nan's jewellery, you know, her brother's place. Awful. And they bullied her and I stuck up for her and had 7 girls attack me, jump on me. I had an umbrella wrapped around my ankle and pulled me down the stairs as I was walking up the stairs. I had my hair pulled out, punched in the face. I had 7 girls attack me.
That's beyond bullying. I wouldn't call that bullying.
You
got expelled for it.
I got expelled for it.
How did that happen?
So it was the time of BCGs.
Okay.
So I had the little test of BCG and I then got suspended first for 4 days. And it come back that I needed my BCG.
Right.
And they wouldn't let me have it. They said, no, we've decided to expel you because the 7 girls who have attacked you come from underprivileged homes and problem families. So we can't get rid of those because we feel like they will go off the walls if they don't have education.
I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, like you were the victim in that situation and they should have been looked after and supported out of the school. Yeah. And put into a different form of education as opposed to like removing you from yours, because the same could have happened to you.
Oh, completely. But because they thought that I could easily move to another school. Yeah. It would be less difficult for me to move rather than ask the 7 girls to move. And the bad thing is my best friend who I was sticking up for at the time then went against me. And she's still not friends with those girls now. It's actually weird. Them girls have messaged me since trying to make it up to me. And I'm friends with them, but I would never trust them to the point, you know, what they've done to me and also the effect it's had on my family of me getting bullied. Like my sister doesn't want her little sister getting bullied. It's awful. But now, you know, I've learned my lesson is sometimes it's not always best to get involved. But when you see your best friend sticking up for you, like getting bullied, you have to. Yeah. Like, it's just something, it's something I've tried to teach my nieces as well. Like don't stand for bullies because at the end of the day, they are cowards. And I will not, to this point now, I could walk out on that street and if I see somebody getting bullied, attacked, mugged, shouted at, and, you know, a woman getting abused by a partner, I will step in. I know that is my natural instinct to step in. And my mum's always said, no, don't because it's dangerous. I'm the sort of girls that see like an old lady at the bus station. I'll drive past and I'll offer her a lift.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, of course I will.
So how do you find the strength, like to, after dealing with what you've dealt with, to like not being afraid, to like not being a bystander? Like how did you grow into that?
I think it has to be my mum and dad.
Okay.
Like we come from a big Irish family. Yeah, we've got
really big morals.
Really big, yeah. My mum's one of 13.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's a huge Irish family. We have a spreadsheet of all of the cousins and second cousins. I'm not even joking. My auntie Anne, she's like the queen bee. She has the spreadsheet, and every time a baby's born, it gets added to the spreadsheet.
Oh,
there's
my
like
God.
168, I think there is of us.
I wish somebody did that for me because my mum's one of 12.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so, and I have no idea
Do you know
what's going
what it's
on.
like to have a big family?
No idea who is who anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, are they my cousin? Yeah, they're second cousin's friend, cousin's cousin. Okay.
Christmas must be weird. Getting the spreadsheet out.
It's the weddings that I dreaded getting married because I thought, who would I invite?
I was about to ask you, like, that was my question, like, going to be a thing. I was like, right, well, because they don't give you a massive budget, I imagine.
No, we get £1,200, and £1,200 has to cover the dress, bridesmaid dresses, maid of honour, any gifts you want to buy for your mum or sister.
No,
it covers everything.
1,200. What are you getting for that?
That's bag and shoes and vows are like £300. I didn't realise how expensive a vow was.
A what?
A veil.
A veil. £300?
Yeah, for a vow.
For a piece of fabric.
I know. And now I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. Like, literally, I don't know what to do with it. It doesn't even look like a vow. Like, it's just like, So it's not a lot. When you think about how expensive, dresses are, bridal dresses.
Yeah.
And the men get £500.
For one suit.
For one suit, yeah. Which isn't too bad compared to a wedding dress, because you're looking in like thousands of pounds for wedding dresses. And it was hard to find a dress off the peg for a start.
Yeah.
Excuse the pun. It was hard because it was, they were all like average size. They were size 12, but they were for average height. And
you need a
I'm not an
custom
average
one.
height, no. So I was like, this is going to be bad. I'm going to be wearing flats on my wedding day.
Because even I struggle, and I'm like, you're taller than me.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
So I can imagine
it's hard
that must have
tall.
been rough going for you. Do you get to plan your own wedding?
So to be honest, I only had about 5. I had a funny story actually buying the dresses. I actually have 2 wedding dresses.
Okay.
I got told 5 weeks before the wedding that I was getting married. And I was like, oh my Lord, I have 5 weeks. I have 5 weeks to get a dress. But I think it's quite good because you're so fixated on the dress. Who's going to be invited? Is everybody happy? Does everybody know the plans? I was booking, taxis for my auntie the night before my wedding, trying to literally just trying to make everything perfect. I didn't even have time to worry about the fact I was meeting a stranger at the end of the altar to marry him. So I think that was actually helpful because you have so much to do. You don't have time to think about what you're actually going to do.
I guess it's also the one benefit is you don't sometimes I've seen friends get married and their other half is literally playing Xbox until 3 hours before they say their vows. You don't have to stress about that because you don't know what he's doing.
No, I have no idea what he's doing except for commenting on the itty bitty titties committee and my boobs the whole time.
Yeah, I personally got offended by that.
I got offended by it because I used to have those itty bitty titties.
So did I. So I was sat there cool, thank you for that.
Yeah, and I just thought if only he knew, lucky he likes fake boobs, because if he liked natural boobs, mine were tiny.
You can't make a comment like that and then not be okay with people having fake boobs.
No, that's true.
I was like, you can't have it all.
No.
I'm sorry, that's just a fact of life.
But at least it's one thing I know that he got that he must have liked, because he made a lot of references to it. And my dad was like, it was so hard watching that wedding with my family. That was just the most awkward moment because I obviously didn't know what George had said either.
Yeah.
And I was just I was sitting on the edge of my seat and my nieces want to sit on my lap and play. And I'm like, please just be quiet. Let me just hear what he said. It was hard.
I can imagine because everything's pre-recorded, isn't it? So it's not even you can bring it up at a commitment ceremony.
No.
It's too late.
It's too late. It's done, it's gone. And I mean, the honeymoon as well, that did not do me any favours about the OnlyFans comment.
Yeah, I saw that. I did see the OnlyFans comment and I wasn't really sure where... It
looks like a trap question. It looked like I was... firing a loaded question at him to trick him, and anything he said I wouldn't be happy with, but that wasn't the case at all.
That's because when I watched that's how it came across to me.
I hated myself watching it. I was like, oh my God, Peggy, that I know it. I was actually looking forward to the honeymoon because we had a great time. Then when I see it, I was like, wow, they have literally shown that the 8 minutes of the drama we had in 8 days, and we'd had that conversation before.
Yeah.
Where it was actually George being suggestive of explicit online content.
Okay.
That I was like, whoa, does he want me to do that?
So that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because when I watched it, I was like, that's a massive overreaction to him saying he's cool with it. But then I was like, but then if he said he wasn't cool with it, is that also wrong? I don't.
Oh, he couldn't win.
Yeah.
In that situation, he couldn't win. It was more the sudden change of mind, which I was just like, okay, but you know, and it's not that I condemn people that do it.
Yeah.
Like, I am all for people working. Do whatever you need to do, you know, in your situation. It was just something I didn't want to hear my husband, who I'd met the day before, you know, on a flight to Thailand, saying that I should do it, or insinuating that I would get a lot of money if I was to do it.
Yeah, so that would piss me off. But then also, like, it would really piss me off. But like, you wouldn't marry, like, had you met that person before and like you had that conversation on date one, you would never have pursued anything with them. And now you're on your way to your honeymoon.
Yeah. Yeah. I was on a 13.5-hour flight, and he was like, oh babe, I've lost my earphones. I haven't got my earphones. And I was like, oh no, he went, that's all right, I don't need them. I was like, get him his earphones. Please, he needs earplugs. I can't be the entertainment for this man for 13.5 hours. I was thinking, no, God help me.
So
please, someone have my earplugs.
Yeah, he's fine. Anything. I would just get a toy, something, colouring book.
Something now, quickly.
So I can imagine, actually, it must be really frustrating for you when you're watching it and you're like, this isn't how it was played out when you were actually there.
Yeah.
With reality TV, you just take everything you see with a pinch of salt.
Right? Yeah, and I did say, right, whatever is shown, it's shown, you know. But when there's so many people coming at you, like, you trapped him, it was a loaded question. I'm not like that. I'm not that sort of girl to do that at all.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask you what the trolling has been like.
Yeah, the trolling it's more tough for me. Like, I'll be honest, I feel like I've been one of the fortunate ones so far in terms of trolling. The only trolling I got was for the honeymoon. And it's more hurtful for me, my family seeing the comments. And I think where I'm quite strong, I was like, fine, trolls, you know, that they don't impact me. They are people that don't know me, that are probably sitting at home, that are really lonely and live very shallow lives, or unhappy with themselves. At the same time, I do feel sad for them, because they must be in a really bad place to feel like they have to comment negatively on people they don't know's life and what they see on TV. It's not even them seeing it in real life for themselves to comment on. They're commenting on a reality TV program where things are edited. And there are people that, you know, they don't know what I'm going through in my life. They don't know what my family are going through. Those trolls don't see the impact it has, not just on the person they're attacking, but the people that person lives with, their family, their friends, the people that care about them. Because my sister's fuming. Every time she sees one, she's like, oh my God. I'm like, Holly, just leave it, please. Hurricane Holly, please leave it. You've done enough at the wedding.
I feel like siblings get really involved, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Super protective.
Oh, yeah. My sister bring me up this morning, like, Peggy, have you seen so-and-so's story? I'm like, Holly, I don't care. I really don't care. I'm a bit busy at the moment.
You wouldn't be able to get anything done, I think, if you focus on every single thing everybody ever said.
No. And it will get into your head. And I know how powerful the mind is. And like, I was worried about the fat comments, I'll be honest, because of my
comments.
Yeah, because of my eating disorder. I was
Someone
worried
called you fat?
I've had, I think she's pregnant. And I felt like saying, thank you, but I actually have had an eating disorder. I'm very fussy about the way I look, in terms of, I always feel like somebody's going to judge me for being big, because I'm tall as well. And I felt like saying, I would absolutely love to be pregnant, because that is something I don't know I can be yet.
Yeah, well, that's a whole cardinal rule that you never mention that to a woman anyway.
No.
So you have no idea what someone's going through.
No.
But it's with trolling, I always think with reality TV, comment on the show, comment on what you see, but you don't know the person.
Yeah.
And when journalists ask me, like, what do you think about so-and-so on the show? And I'm like, well, you just have to wait to see that they come out. Because your true colours show. Because you can pretend to be a character. You can pretend, you probably know better just as much as I do, if probably not more, but like, you can pretend to be a character or a person for an extended period of time when the camera's on. And then when the camera's off and you're in real life, you can't keep up for the rest of your life.
No. Do you know what I have to say? I truly think it is impossible to do that process pretending you're somebody you're not.
Really?
Yeah.
Are the cameras on 24/7 or not?
They're not on 24/7.
Okay.
They are around, I would say, probably on average 8 to 12 hours a day. Bear in mind, at dinner parties, commitment ceremonies, they are very long days.
Imagine.
Like, you're sitting there. Every couple on the sofa has about 45 minutes. So when there's 12 couples, that is 12 times 45. I'm not going to do the math.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to get married that badly.
Yeah, no, exactly. And sometimes it's freezing cold and you're like, oh my God, it's freezing. Sometimes it's sweating hot. I probably have sweat patches and everything because you get so nervous. It's like being in detention. You walk in, you see the experts. I always call them the judges, and everyone's like, "You're not an X Factor, Peggy." I was like, "Yeah, but they're judging my relationship."
They are though,
They're judging,
essentially.
yeah, yourself, your person, like who you are and your relationship.
And they pick it apart, and like every little thing you say gets picked apart.
I was terrified. Although I'm confident,
Yeah,
I have my insecurities. Like every woman, the way they look, the way I talk. You probably see at the hen party where it was my first time filming. I feel like I was, I had more gravitas in the way I spoke. And every time I speak, a bit more common, like if you watched last night's dinner party and I was like, "You're just gel," I don't know where that come from. I do not know where that come from. Why did I say that? But that's the bit of like Cockney Essex coming out in me once I've had a few Prosecco's, and I'm not an alcoholic. Like so many people are like, "She drinks so much, she's on the wine, she's on the Prosecco." You're there for 12 hours.
It's probably the same glass as well. You're probably holding the same glass for majority of the time.
It probably is. You'll probably see it go like that as well.
I'm going to now watch it really closely every time now.
Honestly, I'm like, "Can I have the red wine?" I was asking for the red wine for George, but I just look like I get drunk and say what I think. And the thing is, I don't need alcohol to say what I think. I say what I think anyway.
Yeah.
Because I do believe honesty is the best policy. I took a big risk doing this program. Like my mum and dad weren't happy with it. My job, like I'm putting everything at risk. Like I potentially could never get another job in a financial industry after appearing on such a show.
Yeah. Like, if the edit went badly for you.
If the edit went bad, or if I'd said something that I didn't mean, and just because I couldn't be customer facing anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'd have a background of being in media or TV.
Yeah.
It doesn't look professional. And I completely understand that. I took sabbatical to care for my parent and I went back because everything was settled, everything was stable, and I went back to work. And I never thought I would do that then. When we first had the diagnosis, I was like, no, that's it. Like, I'm going to just be at home. I want to spend the rest of my parents' lives that they have with them.
Yeah.
I don't want to be at work. And as soon as everything was stable again, you get in a habit of routine, like everything's normal now, I'll go back to work. I went back to work and then the doctor said to me, "Look, you are stressed.
Yeah.
Like your eating's back to normal, you're exercising healthily." It's called secondary amenorrhea, hypothalamic amenorrhea. They said, if you want periods back and a chance of having a baby, you need to be less stressed. I went for the demotion, still no period. And then I thought, right, I'm going to marry a stranger. Because my mum said to me, "Look, babe, you're not getting any younger. You spent 2 years at home with us with COVID. I want to see you get married." And she didn't know I was going to apply for the show. But
I didn't mean it literally, okay?
That's what she said to me as well. When the cameras went, she went, "You're a fucking idiot." She went, "What have you done?" "What?" And but Mum, you always tell me to listen to you. She goes, "Not with that bit. Like, I didn't mean for you to actually marry a stranger. Like, do it conventionally. Just get out there and find someone, not marry someone you don't know on telly."
Oh. So I had another guest saying that they would say their advice is to always listen to your mum. You've done it literally.
Yeah, I have. She can't moan at me that way, can she? I've listened to her. What mum does she want?
Also, if she moans at you about it, it sets a precedent that you should never listen to her.
Exactly.
And that's dangerous. That's really
true.
dangerous. And a mum should never admit that because it will go the wrong way.
That's very true.
But I can imagine as a, tall, attractive woman in a male-dominated field like that, it's probably hell, right? It's going to be a hell.
It's hard. I was, a woman in tech. I had it all throughout university. There's only 2 females on the course. I then had it at my first job. I was told, to wear no makeup, wear my hair up, dress less revealingly whilst I was in a roll neck, speak with more gravitas because I had more of an Essex accent. And then working in a male-dominated environment, you then get, you're writing minutes. You're now the admin person. You're like, whoa.
People assume you're the PA because you're a woman.
Yeah.
I can imagine that's really frustrating all the time. So like, what strategies did you have to develop in order to be able to like navigate that and like get taken seriously?
I think it was the courses that I'd done with the qualifications. They really do go down well. So I did like COBIT 5 and ITIL, all the technological, like Azure technology. I did everything I could to try and get something behind me that was written evidence to say, please look, behind the eyelashes. Not that I even wore eyelashes to work. I would never dream of it ever. I think for me it was just speaking. I actually did change the way I spoke. Like, I'm not sure if you've seen it on Take Me Out. I was like, oh, what is it?
Oh my God, you're on Take Me Out as well?
Yes.
I'm going to go look for that later.
Why did I even bring that up?
I might have watched it actually. I was a big fan of the show.
I was dark hair. I was, dark hair. Like literally I had ebony black hair, and it was only a year ago. I thought, right, they say like brunettes they marry, blondes have more fun.
Yeah.
I was brunette and no one was marrying me.
Well, I can confirm that I am also brunette and you don't get married. No. I'm so far away from that.
Or maybe you should go blonde and marry a stranger.
I was thinking about going on Mafs. It's the next thing on my list.
Do it. Do you know what? It's mad. I was just like, right, I'm just going to go blonde. Blonde. No one was marrying me as a brunette. I'm going to go blonde because blondes have more fun. And there I was marrying a stranger. So you couldn't make it up. You could not make it up.
So, when you were talking about like having to do all these extra curricular things just to be getting taken seriously in your career, and it really annoys me when I see like, there are trolls out there that don't believe it exists, like the whole gender pay gap where you get paid less even though you've worked 10 times harder and you've done the extra qualifications just to prove that you are worth being there, and then still not get taken seriously.
It does exist.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, we all know the types of people that say it doesn't exist,
It's tough. I think the toughest thing is when you are a female and you do like your girly girl things, you do like hair extensions, you do like makeup, I feel like at work I was somebody else.
Yeah.
I was somebody that didn't say jokes, didn't dress how I would want to dress or do my hair or makeup how I'd want to do my makeup. So I felt less confident in myself, and that makes it even harder because you just feel like you're not. I think I had imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Where you don't feel like you're good enough to be there. And I felt like some of the comments that were made was more like, Peggy is, here to add a bit of glamour, even though I wasn't glamorous. Honestly, me without makeup was not glamorous. And it was just difficult. I feel like I had a fight or flight moment once in a boardroom with my old company's CEO, and I was talking about fraud risk management. And I remember saying something and he said, what's the stats on that? And I said, 83%. And he went, if you're wrong, that's it. And I was like, it's 83%. I was like, I've done my research. And all the MDs at the table looked at me like, have you just said that to the CEO? And I thought, do you know what? I'm just fed up. I'm just fed up of people thinking because I'm a female of a certain age and I look a certain way that I won't know my stuff.
Well, I mean, you got to the room in the first place on what?
Thank you.
Like, on what merit or what reason? Like, how did you get there in the first place? I wasn't here to add a bit of glamour. That's not the whole reason you got employed in the first place.
Thank you.
You don't see glamour on a CV.
No, you don't.
Because when people see my CV and they see my name and then I show up, they're like, what the fuck's that?
You're stunning. You're absolutely beautiful.
Because my name sounds like a 40-year-old woman.
You're talking to a Peggy.
Yeah, exactly. So like when they look at your CV, they're like, oh yeah, like middle-aged woman. And then you rock up and you're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, people judge, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
People judge or even like where you live.
Yeah.
People think I'm from Essex, I'm from Kent. But if I put, Kent on my CV, it's like they don't expect me to turn up. It's just, it is quite bad, to be fair. Like even when when I was leaving, I had to interview, I think it was about 100 and something people for my role to replace me. And it was so difficult to find somebody. But it was this show, if I'm honest, I'll be honest with you, I did the show and I thought, I want to meet my Prince Charming. I just have a funny feeling I'm going to meet my Prince Charming. I'm very optimistic. I'm very spiritual. I love all astronomy, believe in star signs, psychics, mediums, a lot, everything. And I think as soon as, there were little breaking points in our relationship where, I'm not saying he needed to be perfect because I'm not perfect, but I do believe two people can be perfect together with compromise. And some of the things he said, like the booby comment and some of the crude language, I was thinking, no, this isn't my Prince Charming. This is not the person I would have brought home to my dad. But there is one thing that I have learned is to follow your passions. Yeah. And technology wasn't something that I've always been passionate about. It's just something I've been good at. It's been my education. So if anything, it's enabled me and encouraged me to pursue my dreams of my passions.
What advice would you give to women that are like wanting to get into that male dominated industry and like don't know what they're doing or feel intimidated when you walk into your lecture hall and it's just you and another woman?
I would like to think that if the interviewer now was a woman, that she'd understand.
Yeah.
Because I can probably guarantee you that she's probably gone through a similar experience. So she'd probably be a bit more lenient, or not lenient, understanding of the person's situation. I'd probably just say for girls now, I mean, there's more opportunities, you know, go to university, work hard. That's sort of like, nothing good comes easy. And that's something my dad's taught me. Like, you have to work hard. You know, it's not just gonna, I mean, there's a few people that get really lucky.
Yeah.
Like really, really lucky. Like, I do play the lottery still. I have to, and I love the odd scratch card. I love Vegas, and I'm all for a casino. So it's terrible, isn't it? Honestly, you wouldn't think I work in risk. I used to as well have to hide the fact that I went to a casino at work, because they'd be like anti-casinos. Like, you are a technological risk person. You cannot gamble, you know? And it's
educated gambling.
Yeah. It's like just,
so I call it educated gambling.
A bit of a punt on the horse and things like that. Ascot, love it. But I felt like I couldn't be my true self. And I did say to my boss, when I finally told him about the show, I just said, look, please don't judge me. You know, I was that person at work for you guys. I do have more of a personality at home. And I used to come home and cry. Because I used to be so drained of pretending I'm somebody I'm not at work to try and impress others.
Yeah.
Because of this, I just feel like I had a barrier up where I had to not be my true self. I couldn't be a young female who had a life. You know, I had to be just really straight to the point.
And I can imagine, because you spend so much of your time and life at work. And like, if you work in a certain industry where they expect you to do 10, 12-hour days, that's hard to pretend to be someone you're not for that long period of time.
It was awful.
But then, like, I always say to girls now, just be yourself, because eventually all the industries will just have to accept people being themselves.
Yeah, and that you can only pretend for so long, right? And it's the same thing with the show. You cannot pretend. Them cameras are in your face 24/7. When you don't want them to be in your face, especially, they are in your face. You know, at the worst moments, they are there, and you're like, okay, this is me. You know, this is reality. You know, take me or leave me. You know, I'm like Marmite. You either hate me or love me. Like, fortunately, at the moment, people, I think it's really bad, because that dinner party last night was the worst experience of my experience being on the show was kind of tarnished by that dinner party, because that was the moment where I stood up for myself and I felt like everybody was against me.
Yeah. But
I could see things happening, and I thought, I'm going to have to say, because I'm not being true to myself otherwise, you know. And if I say the wrong thing, I will apologise. Yeah. And you'll see in, you know, maybe later episodes that I apologise. You know, to Ella, who's my best friend, I did not want to hurt her.
Yeah, of course.
Because she was like a sister to me. Like, although the girls say, well, you didn't spend much time with her, I was getting to know my husband. That is why.
The whole purpose of the reason. How dare you be busy making friends when you should be talking to your husband?
Yes, exactly. But no, girls in this industry, they just need to, like you say, be yourself, be confident, know your shit, first of all. Like, don't pretend you don't know. You have to actually know it. But just work hard, because, you know, if you don't try, you won't get anywhere. And just remember, nobody's perfect. Like, that person interviewing you, they go to the toilet. That's all I imagine. I always imagine, like, they go to the toilet. That person there has sat on a toilet seat. So it's so random, but I was told to think that, and it's really worked a dream.
I'm never going to be able to sit in a boardroom the same way ever again now. Not that I would, but like, I'm going to never go to sit in a room like that ever again.
Oh, don't. Boardrooms petrify the hell out of me now. I actually went out with a narcissist at the time when I was presenting, and I had a PA come into the boardroom just before my presentation, and she said, Peggy, we have an emergency, you have to take the call. Now, at times I'd be like, oh, really? Like, right now? But emergency, family, I melted.
You always think the worst case, right?
I thought, Mum, Dad, they've fallen over, something's happened. I ran outside, and it was my boyfriend at the time. on the phone saying, why are you not answering your effing phone? So he'd actually called up my work to pretend that he was my parents in a matter of urgency to get me to answer my phone. Bear in mind, we hadn't had an argument or anything like that. So like that kind of mental abuse really impacted me at work as well. I wasn't being myself at work. I was pretending to be someone I wasn't. I was going home crying, breaking down because I wasn't happy at work. I wasn't happy with my relationship. And I kind of didn't think I had anywhere else to go.
I think that's like how people end up or staying in relationships like that. Even if you're aware of the signs and you know it's happening, you kind of feel like I don't have anywhere else to be.
Yeah.
So you kind of just put up with it, even though you know you shouldn't.
Yeah, oh, completely. I stayed far too long in that relationship. Far too long. But I thought I could change him. I thought I could make him, somebody that, not just for me, but for himself, to better himself. Yeah. But we used to have dinner on Valentine's Day. We was at Chop House by the Thames, and he said to me, I love you so much. Like, sometimes I love you so much, I see red and I want to hurt you. And I thought,
no.
Chewing on my steak here, like, I can't swallow.
No.
Yeah. And that for me was breaking point. Because I thought, I'm actually in danger now, where this man can blame having PTSD. Him hurting me would then be, some people say they blame the mental health. And I know mental health's serious, but I just thought, I can't do it to my family. It's like in a selfless way. I thought, I don't care what you do to me, just don't hurt my family. And then when I broke up with him, 3 weeks later, bear in mind we've been together for 2 years. 3 weeks later, I found out he'd moved to Australia and married a Playboy bunny. This is what I mean. Like, this isn't normal. Like, this isn't normal behaviour. And he changed his name and things like that.
So
many
red flags.
Honestly, and this is why I was single. This is why I didn't trust men. I was with someone for 8 years. He cheated on me after 4 years of being with him. I got back with him for another 4 years because I thought I wasn't good enough and that he could do better than me, and I better just stay with him. And then I thought, no, I can't have a child with somebody who's betrayed me.
Yeah. This is the thing. Like, I always get young women messaging me saying, like, what can I do? Like, X, Y, and Z for my boy. No, don't. Just don't. That's how, and I know it sucks and it hurts. And especially when you're younger, you think your relationship that you're in your teenage years is the be all and end all. And that's the center of your universe. It's not.
Yeah.
And like when you get older and you look back on certain things, you think, why the fuck did I do that? Like, why was I there? Or like you look at them later and you think of them in such a different way because you're like, you're an awful person.
Yeah.
So just don't. Like, it's like when you're young, you're so fixated on everything that's happening in that current moment in time. But when you get older, you'll be great. You'll be glad and grateful to yourself.
It's mad though, because you become obsessed with them, don't you? Like, and I see that in Shona and Brad. And I think that was the trigger for me, was because I've experienced it before.
Yeah.
And I could see the movements and the comments that Brad was making, and Shona wasn't saying anything. And Sharon didn't have anybody to stick up her other than myself and Laura. And that's why I had to say it, because it can be dangerous. It can be. If it gets to a certain point, it's dangerous. And she was becoming more and more and more obsessed with him and losing herself as a person by giving him. And that's hard to see, one of your friends. Like, and bear in mind, like, we've just met each other. Yes, I get that. When you're in that environment, you've gone through the same process. At the hen party, you automatically have a connection.
I think the thing is, people forget that sometimes time's not an indicator of how close you can be to somebody. And especially when you're in that really hyper-sensitive, fast-paced environment. Like, you've just jumped into a marriage head first. So like jumping into a friendship head first would not come as a surprise to anyone.
No, it's easier.
Yeah, exactly, because you're not married to them. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So I always ask all of the guests the same final question.
Okay.
It's quite wordy. If you could offer a piece of advice to your younger self based on your life and career journey so far, what would it be?
100%. It would be follow your passions. Do something that you are passionate about and what makes you happy. Be less selfless. Care about yourself more. And don't worry about what other people say or think. You are your own person. Just be yourself. You can't be anything else. And if you try and be something else, you can only do it for so long before you burn out. And burning out can have significant health issues, mentally and physically.
And honestly, thank you so much for coming down and sharing everything with me. Like, I know, like I could see at certain points, like even though I just met you, I was like, oh my God, I'm about to make this woman cry.
Thank you.
So I was like really conscious, like, please don't make this woman cry. I've literally just met her. I'm going to look like an awful person. But no, honestly, I'm really grateful for you being so open. And like, I just know firsthand that when you're open about certain things, it helps so many people. So you definitely would have helped somebody that's listening.
Thank you so much. I feel like I've had therapy with you. It's mad. I am an emotional wreck anyway. So honestly, I'm surprised you didn't make me cry by sitting down on the sofa. It's bringing back PTSD.
I
from
should
the
have renamed
ceremonies.
the podcast, and it's not Girls Know Nothing. It's Therapy with Sharon.
Yeah.
That's the new podcast name. But no, honestly,
Thank you for having me.